Good afternoon. It's once again 5:30 on a Friday, and of course Fridays are always good days. The blues singers say they call it Stormy Monday. Tuesday's just as bad. Wednesday's a little worse, and Thursday is oh so sad. But then they say the eagle flies on a Friday. Saturday I go out to play. Sunday I go to church and kneel down on my knees and pray. Lord have mercy on me. But you know, on this Friday, a lot of good things have been going on. As a matter of fact, tonight is prom night for a lot of young people, including my granddaughter. And they are having their prom. I never shall forget my prom. The young lady that I escorted, that we went to the prom together, she made her dress. She was an outstanding seamstress, even when we were in high school. Her name was Eunice Harris. And Eunice could sew and sew and sew. And of course, she was the belle of the ball. And she made the prom dress herself. Well, some students won't be making their prom dresses, but they'll all be the belle or the belles of the balls. For us, the fellas, it was very simple. We just wore a white linen jacket, black trousers, white shirt, and a black tie. And we all looked good. As a matter of fact, we were sharp as a tack. Feeling good, being good. School was over. Where I grew up, school would be getting out about this time of year. That would be the end of school. And then, because it was time to start farming, it was time to start working. But we made it. You know, another blues singer said he got down to his last dime. The gospel singers say I got down to my last dime. Oftentimes I felt like laughing to keep from crying, but I made it. So we are making it. Good things are happening. Marshall High School has a great after-school program. If you know young people, or if you're a young person watching this show, you can sign up for the Marshall High School after-school program. You can learn the works of a data scientist and robotics. You can learn how to code and analyze data. You can learn to work in TV and film production. You can create various art projects, engage in photography, learn to compose music, and make hit records. You can be a reporter on the Marshall News Crew, a TV show host, learn on-camera acting, script writing, and more. You get a stipend, and you can get accredited. A lot of good stuff. Call the Visionary Center, 872-444-5899. We got some more announcements we want to make, but right now let's go to the phone and see who we've got. Caller, are you there?
Yes, Congressman. Thank you for taking my call, and I think it was interesting that you brought up high school graduations and obviously proms and so forth, and it's a wonderful time certainly for young people. And at the same time, I think it's incumbent upon us to get the message across to them that unlike your grandparents' day, school was not over after high school. Let's face it, not everyone has necessarily the aptitude or love of education that you and I share. But in today's world, you can either choose to continue on with your education, as difficult as you may find it, or you can choose to be relegated to a kind of second-class citizenry, because without further education, the reality is that you are going to be relegated to a substance of living, not anything that's going to be able to elevate you to what your parents or perhaps grandparents made. And we are currently living in an America where, for the first time, our parents did better than we did, and our grandparents did better than we did. And though for my generation, I'm 49, we've been able to offset that through higher education. I went on to graduate school after my undergraduate degree. We've been able to offset it by record numbers of women who once were stay-at-home moms coming into the workforce. But in 1969, if you were an average factory worker in a union shop in this country, you made $140,000 in today's money. The people need to think about that for a moment. We're talking about people with high school educations, but because of their union jobs, we're making an equivalent of $140,000. So when people wonder how it is that one man was able to support a family in a good position, that's how. But we all know that those jobs are gone. No one is paying enough here to work in the steel mill any longer. And that's why we've got to make sure that young people, as much as they want to celebrate their proms and their graduations, all right, you get that, and you get to enjoy that month or two. Now it's time to start asking yourself, if you haven't already, what am I going to do come the day after? Am I planning on a trade school? Am I planning on an associate's degree, a 4-year degree? There's a lot. There's aid programs out there. There's scholarship money. But the only thing that you cannot allow yourself to do is say, well, there's going to be some magical job that's going to pay me a lot of money, and I'm going to live this wonderful life, and it's waiting out there, because it isn't.
You are so right. I couldn't agree more, and somehow we got to help people to understand that you can have fun, you can do all of the fun things in life that people can do, but you enjoy them more if you've prepared yourself so that you can earn a decent living and you're not always in a crunch. And you can also be reasonable. Now there are people who are spending far too much money on prom. That's just one night out of the rest of your life. And so spending money to go in debt and all of those things, you can have fun without spending everything you can dream of. I consider myself a pretty reasonable person, and I don't feel any different when I'm wearing the most expensive piece of clothing that I own, or when I'm wearing something that I got from the flea market. Does not change me one bit. I am the very same person. And so people need to learn that they make clothes. Clothes don't make them. Thank you so much for your call. Excellent points, and we'll take our next caller. Caller, are you there?
Yes, Congressman, and it's a great day to be on God's green earth. And what you and Steve said is so important of what's going on right now. See, in our days, it was much different. And the most thing that I could tell young people now, and they just don't get it. Get that education. All that labor jobs are gone. I mean, it's tech. You got to know something. So any young people listening, please stay in school. That's the most important thing that you could ever get in your life. Get those keys. Two quick comments real quick. I was looking at the TV today, and they were showing young kids going across the stage, high school and college, how they be dancing and doing all kinds of things. We didn't do that. I mean, at least I know we didn't do it in our groups, in high school or in college. And now they asking the parents, do not applaud. You could, probably get fined. That's really truly something from then to now. Number two, real quick. You remember you told you last week take your wife to a Mexican restaurant for Mother's Day. Let me tell you something. There is a couple of good Mexican restaurants that I like. I like El Malagos down there on 26th Street. Go around the corner and they have the bands over there and they do play the music. And go on 18th Street. Go to a restaurant called Carnitas, the best carnitas in the city. You will really enjoy that. Listen, let me get out there so I can hear you smile. I can see you smiling right now.
Well,
you probably could taste some of that food right now.
Let me tell you, I'm going to take you up on one of those pretty soon. We do lead cosmopolitan lives and cosmopolitan existences. But the point that you said about the education, you don't even have to want to go to college. You can learn a trade and you can make that money that is being talked about. You can't just look around, play around, watch basketball and that kind of stuff. You got to do something. You got to do something with yourself. And so learn something so that you can enjoy life and contribute. And we were also taught to be dignified. If you never would be clowning at a graduation, at a commencement. As a matter of fact, I never will forget my cousin who was a practical joker. We used to have to say speeches at school and those kind of things. His name was Shelton Vance. Of course, Shelton died not too long ago, but by then he had written a couple books and he'd had a real good life. He had become a minister. But I remember one time we were at school closing and Shelton said, "Up the hickory, down the pine. I asked my teacher, to patch my britches right behind." And the teacher told Shelton, said, "Come right on down, Brother Shelton, and I'm going to show you what to do with where your britches might be torn." Of course, he meant that he was going to get a few smacks. But you can be dignified. You don't have to clown. My sister used to say a speech called 15 Million Negroes on Parade. And I found that speech the other day. And I'm going to share it with as many people as I can. And that was like 50 and 60 years ago when Chris would say that speech. And she had it down to a T. I often say that she was perhaps possibly the brightest endowed person in our family, but unfortunately, she died several years ago, but she was top of the line. So I'm going to bring that speech one day and read it. I believe we got another caller, and so if we do, caller, go right ahead.
Hey, there's Congressman Danny Davis.
Yes, ma'am.
How you doing, sunshine? This Paul over here.
I'm doing good.
You little canteen revolutionist over here.
All right.
Yeah, don't let him hang up till I can say goodbye. Ooh, Lord, how do you like Mr. Johnson hiring all of 100 new officer detectives for Chicago? Pretty good deal, huh?
Well, we need as much law enforcement as we can get.
Yep.
But we also need to raise people in such a way that law enforcement is not the only thing that checks us.
That's right. You need the neighborhood watch like back in the old days.
Yep.
And I hate to mention it, another school shooting today, Mr. Congressman. Oh, Lord, that Texas down there. I got an idea, but I don't know if they're interested. They got to bring back the draft. If these kids want to be shooting up the schools, they need to go into the Army or in some kind of service. This is really getting like to be too much of a pattern, Congressman Danny Davis. Back in the day when they had the Columbine shooting, they had some boys called the trench coat mafias. And if you look at these last few shootings in the school, it coming to look like a little bit of pattern. I don't want to say the T word, but I'm going to say it anyhow. It kind of looked like a terrorist kind of thing. Everything coming up out on the computer, these kids are giving warnings, and nobody's taking heed to them. And look what happened today. I don't know what they're going to do. They got to fix these schools. They're talking about backpacks with bulletproof. It's way beyond that, Danny Davis. That Congress got to get down to what they got to do. Bring back the breath. One more question. What you think of the government bringing back the death penalty? What you think about that?
I'm not in favor of it because the same conditions will exist that caused the former governor to lead the effort to rid us of the death penalty. There are some people who will not get fair treatment no matter what we do at the moment. And saying, and I want to protect everybody. I care as much about law enforcement people. I have a bunch of law enforcement individuals in my family. I've got others that I've tried to get to go into law enforcement. I think we need to create more fairness before we get ready to do that. And so I'm not in favor of it at the moment. Thank you so much, and we'll go to the next caller. Caller, are you there? All right, well, that's good because I got lots more information. There's going to be something called the Congressional App Challenge. All young people are welcome. It's going to be June the 4th. And if there's nothing necessary except to call our office and sign up, you can call 773-533-7520. We are trying to help as many young people as we possibly can really get into the whole business of technology and to realize that that is a route to not only lots of good information, but it's also a route to a good job. Good jobs are not the only things to look for in life. But I can tell you, if you don't have a decent job, you don't have much life because you don't have a way to care for yourself. And so people who don't have decent jobs don't enjoy life as much as those who do. So just remember that. We also want people to know that we have a 7th Congressional District Reentry Symposium that is going to be held on June the 4th at Malcolm X College. The co-chairs of this are Cook County Commissioner Dennis Deere and Mr. George Williams, the Vice President of Task. We've always had these kind of things going on, and Dennis Deere was doing this kind of work before he was elected to the Cook County Board. Being a county commissioner does not keep him from doing much of the stuff that he was already doing. As a matter of fact, I tell people that whatever it is that I do now, I was doing before I ever got elected to office. I just didn't have as much of a profile in doing it, and I guess I didn't have as much influence in terms of trying to get it done or trying to make it happen. So give our office if you want to participate in any of that. Doesn't matter what. We always have a number of things going on that can be helpful and beneficial. So you can call us at 773 855-3375-20. We are approaching summertime. And I say that summertime is a time when you can do more than simply say, summertime and the living is easy, fish are jumping and the cotton is high, your daddy's rich and your mama's good looking, so hush little baby, don't you cry. You're gonna wake up one of these mornings and the sun will be shining, and you really need to or have to, you can just go right on up to the sky. Try to figure out how to be happy. When I was a kid, we used to have little sayings. All I need to make me happy is two little boys to call me Pappy. One I will name Biscuit, and the other one I will name Gravy. Of course, we were talking about eating. Food had a way of being so good until you just simply look forward to eating, if it wasn't anything except biscuits and gravy. My dear mother had so many recipes for gravy. She must have been able to make at least 10 or 12 kinds of gravy. So we never had much money. We just simply didn't have it, no big deal. But we always had plenty of good tasting food. Mothers, if you want to do something for your daughters, and I know Mother's Day just passed, but if you really want to do something for your daughters, Lord have mercy, teach them how to cook. And it wouldn't hurt if you were to teach your sons also. I was at church last Sunday, and I heard one of the best sermons I've ever heard in my life. And the Reverend Brooks, she preached about cooking and making bread. And let me tell you, it was a spirit-filled, light-hearted church. People were just delighted. And the message was so great. And the message was great because she was teaching not just the ingredients for making bread, but she was talking about the ingredients for making a good life. How do you make a good life? Do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. Learn to be helpful to people and not hurtful. Learn to empathize with the needs of others. Don't be so selfish that you just want to gobble up everything for yourself. And you're always looking for what someone can do for you, as opposed to what you might be able to do for them. Pray the prayer of St. Francis. O Lord, make me an instrument of thy peace. Where there is hatred, let me show love. Where there is confusion, let me bring peace and resolve and settlement. Help me to make the world a better place in which to live. Help me bring peace to somebody's mind so that we don't have the same experiences that the young people in Texas had today, where their lives were snuffed out and we don't know why. So I guess one of the reasons I like to be here on Friday is that at least I get the opportunity to share some of my thoughts, views, ideas, and to hear yours. It's a good way to end up a work week. And as I get ready to get on out of Dodge, do as much as you can for as many people as you can, for as often as you can, and you help the world become a better place to live. See you next week.